Hello everyone, I hope that you are having a wonderful day. I just finished this wonderful book called The Flight of Gemma Hardy by Magot Livesey. This is basically a retelling of Jane Eyre. It is set during the middle of the 20th century and pretty much follows the basic storyline of Jane Eyre. So you have a young orphan girl who goes to live with extended family. They do not want her and so send her to a very unpleasant boarding school where she spends about 10 years before she finds employment in a wealthy household taking care of a young girl, where she subsequently meets and falls in love with the master of the house. So that's pretty much the storyline of The Flight of Gemma Hardy. There are, of course, some modern elements to it. There are some twists. It is set in Scotland as opposed to the north of England, and Gemma is actually Icelandic and Scottish. Her father was from Iceland, her mother was from Scotland, and when she's about 3, her mother's brother comes to get her from Iceland to take her to live with his family. The Mr. Rochester character is a banker. His name is Hugh Sinclair. I really liked the characters in this novel. I really felt like Gemma was her own person, as Jane is. She's not afraid to have opinions despite what she's gone through. The writing, oh my god, the writing of this book was just amazing. I felt like I was there. Magot Livesey really is able to write things in such a way that you can see things as they're happening. You can actually see the events unfolding. So that was really great. I definitely want to read more of her work. I have to say that it's tricky when you write a modern adaptation of a classic novel. So I'm talking Jane Eyre, Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, Wuthering Heights, anything like that. It gets a bit tricky because there are some things that just do not translate well, and there are some things that are necessary in the original novel in order to carry the plot along that it just doesn't even make sense when you try and put them in a modern adaptation. So there were some things that were changed in The Flight of Gemma Hardy that I felt were a bit of a stretch. This is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to say what those things are, but I definitely give this book like 4 out of 5 stars, 3.5 out of 5, mostly because the characters are great. The writing is amazing. I think it's a unique idea instead of setting Jane Eyre in contemporary times, setting it in the past, literally, but still modern, in the modern past. But I will just say that I really feel like modern adaptations are tricky. And while I liked the fact that I just don't know. I just don't know about this book. I don't want to give too much away, but the main dramatic points in Jane Eyre, the big things, aren't in this book. I will say it's pretty much common knowledge that in Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester has a wife in the attic. There's no wife in the attic in The Flight of Gemma Hardy. She does have family in Iceland that she goes to make contact with, and that turns out very well. So Jane Eyre's fortune that she comes into at the end of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte is adapted into The Flight of Gemma Hardy, but it's just what can I say? There isn't enough drama, I guess, is basically it. There's so much more drama in Jane Eyre than there is in The Flight of Gemma Hardy. I think that if you were to look at it as something separate from Jane Eyre, and I guess that's what I need to do, is look at it as something separate from Jane Eyre, then it's a coming-of-age novel. It's a novel of self-discovery, because that's pretty much what Gemma Hardy does, and in that respect, aces, really great job. If we look at it as an adaptation of Jane Eyre, like major, So that's kind of, I guess I have to give it 2 different ratings. As a modern adaptation of Jane Eyre, I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. As its own novel, I would say 4 out of 5 stars, definitely. So, I hope that wasn't too much of a weird, rambling, nonsensical review. As I said, the language is spectacular, so if you're going, I mean, you could read it for the language alone. The imagery is stunning. So, I hope next week to be able to give you at least 2 more book reviews, and I will see you guys later. Bye!